You found me. I'm so excited. Welcome to my channel. I promised you guys I would do it, and here I am. I'm not doing it from my new apartment. As you can tell, I'm still in my old apartment. I got some steps that I still have to take to get to my new apartment, including an application that I got today. So fingers crossed. But yeah, I promised this YouTube channel, so we are going to go on some tangents, and we're going to talk about things that are in the LGBTQ community that a lot of people aren't talking about, or that we all joke about on TikTok, and a lot of people have apprehensions on it. And so I just want to start, I think, by kind of giving you guys a background on who I am, because you guys don't know me from Adam. What you do know is on TikTok, and I am actually not the same person I am on TikTok. So let's talk. Like I said, I do counsel. I'm for 5 years. So my coming out story, I have been out essentially since 2014, but I didn't start dating my ex-girlfriend until 2015. I count being out from when I was out to myself. So yeah, so I will always say that I was out from 2014, but I was out to my family and friends in 2015. But for me personally, I came out to myself in 2014. But let's go through the craziness of my life. I think I knew I should have. There were so many red flags in my childhood. Barbie would always cheat on Ken with Barbie. So Barbie and Barbie were always dating, and Barbie would cheat on Ken with Barbie. Barbie would always end up, starting out with Ken, but she would get married to Barbie. Big red flag there. Let's just start there. And then from there, let's talk about the Titanic and the scene where she's laying there and her butt shows on the TV. Hello? I rewinded that like 62 times as a kid, and I was like, why am I doing this? Why is this girl's butt so pretty? I never actually dated boys in high school. I did date boys in high school. They're both gay now. I was just so focused on my friends and like sports and enjoying my time in high school that I didn't really date. I didn't really have time to have a boyfriend, and I never felt a connection with a guy in a romantic way. Every connection I had with the guys that I knew, it was like bro status. Like I wanted to talk football and basketball, and they're like, but don't you want to curl your hair and like put makeup on and go on a date? And I'm like, a date to the hockey rink? Like, let's go watch the Penguins play. That was like always my thought process. I'm like, let's go watch the Penguins. Let's go watch the Steelers. And they're like, why don't we go to a fancy restaurant and then go out and have like a date at the movie theater? And I'm like, I don't want to. Not with you. And that was kind of like, that summed up my high school. And then I went to college and I partied. I didn't have time for a boyfriend or to even get close like to anyone. Freshman year is also when I had my first experience with a woman. I was at a party, obviously, and I had met some of these girls, and I ended up going home with one of them. So yeah, and I liked it. No, I'm not a lesbian. No, I like boys. I'm not a lesbian. I don't know, but I'm not a lesbian. So again, sophomore year, it was a lot of partying. My best friend came up from my hometown. She graduated a year after me from high school, so it was her freshman year. So it was just a lot of partying, having fun. I had no time for a boyfriend, so I didn't have one. I was going to school. I was hanging out with her. I was partying. I was having a good time. So I wasn't hanging with our normal group of friends. I was out hanging with my new group of friends and like my friends from before. Again, ran into this group of lesbians. Like, hi, lesbians. I might be a lesbian, but I ended up going home with another one of those girls. It was my senior year, and at this point, I had family on my back asking me when I was going to get a boyfriend. I had my mom asking me when I was going to get a career. I had people asking me when I was going to have kids and get married, when I wanted to actually like start dating, because I actually never dated at all, period. I'd never had like a boyfriend other than the two gay men in high school. And I remember just, it was coming from all angles. And I ended up meeting a guy that I connected with, but again, I never connected with a guy in a romantic way. It was always like a bro way, like, hey, let's watch basketball. Hey, turn on the game. And I connected with him in that way. Like, I connected with him in a way where we could sit and watch sports, and we could sit and talk about politics. And we never had a romantic connection. There was always something missing from that relationship. And I don't think he felt it on his end. I know for a fact he didn't. But I didn't feel it on my own end. And to this day, I kind of thank him because his mom and I were really close. And she was gay. And I remember having a lot of conversations with her where we talked about it. Why am I not feeling things for your son that like a normal person should? Where are the fireworks? Because it's just him. So I thought about it, and I was thinking through college, and the only time I ever had like that feeling was when I was with a girl. So my ex and I broke up. And it was a really bad breakup. It did not go well. But I do thank him because, like I said, he introduced me to his mom. She just kind of reiterated it to me that it was okay to be gay. Him and I broke up. I ended up moving to a small town in Pennsylvania. And I was working, and I dated one more guy, and then I also dated a girl. But through it all, I had a stagnant who happens to be my ex-girlfriend. She was a really good friend of mine. We were friends, but like whenever you're friends, you make fun of each other. So I just assumed it was just normal. And she was like, I don't understand how you don't think I like you. And I'm like, I don't know how do you like me? Like, I'm straight. You can't like me. And I remember about a week before I ended up going home with her, I was out to eat with my one friend, and I was kind of just playing with the idea of being gay. And like I was never fully out. Like, I've never said it. So I was toying with the idea of how my friends would react. And I remember going out to eat with her, and we were just having regular banter. She was talking about a boy she was talking to, and I was like, I want to show you someone that like I would drop dead if I actually got to like go on a date with. And she was like, why would you drop dead? I'm like, because they are amazing. And I purposely did not use gender cues. They. And she was like, well, tell me a little bit about them or him. And I was like, well, they are. And I explained it all. And she was like, they sound pretty awesome. Like, when do you think you'll have a date? Or do you think you'll ever have a date with them? And I'm like, I don't know, but like, this is what they look like. And she's like, oh my God, you have a crush on her? And I'm like, yeah, because this girl happened to work with us. So she knew who this girl was. I'm like, I have a crush on her. I'm like, a big fat crush on her. Like, I have a crush on her. God bless this friend. She was a friend that made me feel comfortable. And I think if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have actually went on a date with my ex-girlfriend. She's like, I don't know why you walked around saying it was a girl the whole time by using they. And I was like, girl, okay, I see you. I don't even know how it went from like, I have a crush on her to having her on my couch. She was also the one that took me on like my first ever date where I was like out, and there were people around and I was holding her hand, and there were people around and she was hugging me, and there were people around and she kissed me. And we are from very, very small town, Pennsylvania. It was a big step. It was a really big step to have somebody holding my hand and hugging me in public with a female. My sister was the first person I came out to. And it wasn't by choice. She messaged me and said that she found my tweets about a bae, and she knew who bae was, and she just needed to hear it from me. So I was like, please still love me. Please don't hate me. I'm dating this girl. And my sister's like, you're always going to be my sister. I'm always going to love you. She's like, it might take me a minute or two to understand and realize that you're gay. She's like, but I'm not going to love you any differently. You're still my sister. And that made me feel comfortable. And then from there, I was just like calling my friend. I'm like, hey, I'm gay. I have a girlfriend. She's amazing. I love her. And my friends are all like, what? And I remember like my best friend, she was like, it surprises me. She's like, but at the same time, it doesn't. And she's like, just know, like, I love you regardless. She's like, it's just going to take me some time to realize that you date girls. I was like, that's fair. So I'd come out to all my friends. I've come out to my sister. I still needed to come out to my mom. I still needed to come out to my dad and my grandparents. And that was going to be the hardest part. I'm from a very conservative family. I'm raised Catholic. They all believe that a woman and a male are to be together. They don't hate gay people. They just don't want their daughter to be gay. And I remember when I came out to my mom, it was a complete accident. And I was texting her and I was like, oh, I have a date. And she's like, oh, yes, that's so exciting. And I was like, oh, you poor thing. You don't realize it's with a girl. And she's like, what are you and him doing? And I'm like, well, her and I are going up to the mountain. And she's like, what do you mean, her and I? And I'm like, well, do you remember so-and-so? I'm friends with her. And my mom was like, yeah. And I was like, so I'm going on a date with her, and I might be gay. And that is literally how I came out to my mom. 10 out of 10 don't recommend that. Do not just come out to your mom like that. Do not just text her out of the blue when you live 2 hours away and say, Mom, I'm gay, because it doesn't work very well. My mom and I really didn't have a good relationship for a little over a year after that. I'm no different than her daughter before, just that my preference is dating women and not men. My father and my grandmother on my dad's side was super easy to come out to. I called Dad and I was like, hey, I have something to tell you. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, well, and he's like, you're gay? And I was like, what? He's like, honey, we knew that you were gay for a while. And I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. I didn't know. You should have told me. And then when I called my grandmother actually said the same thing. She's like, I knew you were gay for years. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't. So it would have been cool. Like, you would have saved me a lot of time if you would have just told me I was gay. I didn't have that exploration period. It was just more of like a, hey, I'm gay and this is my girlfriend. Hi. We did break up. There was a lot of differences that her and I still needed to grow from. We were both young and kind of reckless and crazy, and it didn't work out. I started dating in true lesbian fashion right after my ex and I broke up. My ex-fiance and her and I were together for 3 years, almost 3 years. You learn a lot, and you grow as a person when you have an ex-fiance. Let me just tell you that. My mom slowly opened up to the idea of me being gay. She started to understand it more. They still want to think that I'm going to find a husband and get married and have kids, and that's just not the case. I'm going to find a wife, hopefully, and get married and have kids. Like, the best thing to say is that come out when you're ready. Don't rush coming out. Think through how you're going to come out. Don't just jump right in and text your mom. But yeah, that's a little background on me, because you guys don't really know who I am. And that's okay. But now you have some insight, and I hope it helps guide these YouTubes, and we grow and learn from each other and start to have really good discussion. Oh, and one last thing. I know this isn't really our conversation on coming out. It's kind of my conversation on coming out. A really amazing person in my life wrote this book, and it's her story and how she came out and the book she wished she had when she was coming out. You want to come out and you don't want to just text your mom out of the blue and be like, hey, I'm going on a date with a girl that I know. It's a good one. Link is in the bio.